What's up, guys? Welcome back to racingdudes.com. Welcome back to a special video here. We're talking about the Triple Crown. And is the Triple Crown officially dead here in the United States? Look, I think if it's not dead, it's on life support. If you have not heard the official word, Sovereignty will not run in the Preakness. He will not run in the Preakness. He will go to the Belmont Stakes instead. So we'll just kind of break down what this means for racing, not only for this year, obviously, but for the future of what the Triple Crown is. And so this is not a new problem. This is a problem we've been having. The last couple of years, we have had horses go on and try to run in the Preakness after winning the Kentucky Derby. So you got to give credit. Mage tried it in 2023, Mystic Dan in 2024. Mystic Dan ran in all three. And so, that was great. And it gave us a good feeling, but it's been brewing for a while. Kind of a lot of trainers now, they don't really view it as something they need to do, want to do. They don't take it maybe all that serious. They also don't really look at the three races as, a 3-race series much anymore. Some do, and I'll kind of go over some that have shown that they do, but most do not. I really kind of started to notice it with Chad Brown when he smartly, and I'll say that, he smartly skipped the Kentucky Derby with horses that qualified to run in the Preakness and get them in better shape and ready to run in the Preakness because they thought, hey, A, the race fits them, B, it's an easier spot. And he's had success doing that. We've seen him do it with early voting recently, a horse that, could have ran in the Kentucky Derby and didn't, and showed up right there in the Preakness and won. Cloud Computing, another horse that had the points and didn't do it. And then we saw Blazing Sevens 2 years ago, another one that could have ran in the Derby, but he opted for the easier spot in the Preakness. And that was kind of my first kind of look at, some of these trainers and the big trainers in that respect. They kind of are like, yeah, this isn't really a series to us anymore. It's 3 separate races, and we're kind of pointing for where we're pointing for. You kind of look at like on Arcangelo, who got going later on, no doubt about it, but they just kind of worked backwards from the Belmont and said, forget about the Derby. Obviously, they couldn't have qualified for the Derby. Forget about Derby, Preakness, just Belmont's where we're going. So that was more circumstantial, but still to that point. But this Sovereignty not running in the Preakness is I think if it's not the final blow, it is a major blow to what is currently the American Triple Crown, because Sovereignty was, and I'm not going to try to slight, Mage or Mystic Dan, but Sovereignty kind of felt like, that's a realistic chance that maybe he doesn't win it because it's so hard to win it, but he might be at the Belmont with a chance at it, right? And now he's going to be at the Belmont with a chance to win 2 out of 3 because he's skipping on purpose the second leg. So, it's unbelievable that we're here. It didn't seem like all that long ago. It was just automatic, right? And it just hasn't been that way. Of course, Bill Mott skipped it with Country House. Of course, Country House was not healthy. He never ran again after the Kentucky Derby, after he was disqualified, or he was moved up to first after the disqualification of Maximum Security. He didn't run in the Preakness there. We kind of understood that, though. I think everybody was like, yeah, no, I get that. And then, of course, the injury as well. Rich Strike did not try it either the year he won the Kentucky Derby. So we've seen, minus the COVID year, which doesn't count because the races were spaced out. 2 out of the 5 years, we haven't. And now it's 3 out of 6. Again, since 2018, then minus the COVID year, 2 out of 5, and now 3 out of 6 years. That's half the time that the Derby winner will not be right there at Pimlico for the Preakness. So, I think we are to the point now where it's just absolutely dependent on. There's a few guys out there that either they're aggressive enough to try it or they still think it's very important. I think Kenny McPeak showed he was one of those guys that, hey, we're going to run if he's healthy, and I love that. And Dwayne Lucas, he may be the only one that ran to the Kentucky Derby this year that's going to run back in the Preakness. We don't know yet. We know Sovereignty's not going. We know American Promise for Dwayne Lucas is going. And then Michael McCarthy with Journalism, and then Mark Casse with Sandman possibly could be going as well. We haven't got official word on that. I wonder, with Sovereignty out, maybe they run. We'll see. But anyway, the point still remains that, McPeak is aggressive enough to try it. I think Mark Cassie's wheeled back horses before, and to try it, and Lucas to try it as well. But these guys are getting few and far between. Most of these newer guys, kind of the new age of thinking, they do not want to do it. You talk about Brad Cox, you talk about Todd Pletcher, who's done it but didn't have much success doing it. And now, if it kind of becomes the norm that you don't have to do it, he may say the heck with it too. Chad, Brad, Todd Pletcher, and Al. But to me, this is a crushing blow. Bill Mott, Hall of Famer, legend in the game, one of the best trainers. He simply just doesn't have a lot of interest in it, obviously. And look, he's sitting there saying, "I'm going to do what's best for the horse." How can you really argue that? Isn't that what we root for every single day in the sport, that the trainers do what's best for the horse? I don't have a whole lot of argument for him not doing it. The fan in me goes, I want this to be a thing still. I want the Triple Crown to still be alive. This is kind of really, in a lot of ways, what got me into racing, what gets a lot of people into racing. I want it to live on, but I also know that it's not going to. And I think you have to accept that fact. Do I like to say that? No, I want it to always be like this. If we have some kind of different structure for the Triple Crown, will it cheapen it? Yes, absolutely. It's not going to be the same. If they space out the races, it's not going to be the same. But I also live in reality. It is over. They're not look, if Dwayne Lucas wins the Derby next year, maybe we'll have an attempt. If Kenny McPeak, but most of these guys, they're just not going to do it. They don't want to do it. It doesn't benefit them to do it. And as Bill Mott kind of displayed, I don't really think it's the goal of a lot of owners or a lot of trainers anymore. It's the reality we live in. Does it suck? Yeah, it kind of does. But that's where we're at with it. Now, what can be done to fix it? I had a couple of people email me, son, just space it 4 weeks out. Derby's first of Saturday, or first Saturday in May. Preakness first Saturday June. Belmont first Saturday in July. Two things to this. Number one, I don't think it's enough time for these people these days. I know it would help. I'm not going to sit there and say it wouldn't help. I think it helped greatly. I don't think it's a full fix to the problem. These guys are like 6 or 8 weeks out a lot of time with these horses. I can see it over time. They'll go, 4 weeks. That's not enough. That's not enough. I don't know how we got here, and that could be a case study in its own and something I'm not going to go down. I really am truly sitting here thinking, I don't know, 4 weeks and 4 weeks, I don't know if they would still do it. I think we would get more. I think it would help. I still don't know if that's the answer, but I am going to hit you with the harsh reality of it. That's never going to happen. The Belmont is not going to move. And here lies the problem, and the biggest problem in racing all across the board. All these tracks, are owned by different entities that are running these 3 races for the Triple Crown. So the Preakness needs to move. Like their day, not only just the Preakness itself, but their undercard. It's just kind of the second rate, right? Because you run Derby weekend and then you run Belmont weekend. Okay, so the whole Preakness day, it needs to move it to get stronger. So what are they going to do? They're going to call up Belmont and they're going to say, hey, will you please move your race 4 or 5 weeks down the road so we can have a better card? Why would NYRA go, yeah, sure, let's do that? Why would they do that? They're not going to do that. They're competitors. Why are they going to help out the competition? I would be shocked if that happens. And they go, yeah, no, we have no problem moving our whole schedule around to accommodate your track. It'd be the first time in history if that happened. I guess it could. I guess anything's possible, right? Probably except for what I just said. I just don't think that's going to happen. So then what do you do if you're Pimlico? Hey, we need to move it. Belmont. We don't care. Okay, now what? What do? You can't run on the same day as the Belmont. You can't compete with them. If you move it, you almost are going to have to move it to July, right? Because you're going to have to, okay, we'll let Belmont have their day, and then we can move it like 5 weeks after that. Then all of a sudden you're running up against, races like the Haskell, the Jim Dandy, which maybe if you're the Preakness, you can draw in those horses. Maybe you can eliminate one of those races and you go from there and maybe it would work. But then all of a sudden you got the Derby and then the Belmont going a mile and a half and then cutting back to the Preakness a mile 3/16. It's over. Like that's not a Triple Crown. It's not going to work. I guess best case scenario, you do Belmont works with Pimlico and they move the Belmont again. It's not going to happen, but then yeah, okay, it's 4 weeks apart. The proposed plan, maybe it works, and it's not what it used to be. That is not. It's not going to feel the same, but at least you have 3 big days of racing on feature like cards and stuff like that. So I mean that's probably the best solution. But again, I don't really see the Belmont going, you know what, we'll do you a solid and ruin our biggest day of racing on the Naira circuit when we don't need to. Why would you do that? So it's a big problem. It's a big problem. And I don't really know what Pimlico is going to do. You know, long term. I know this year they're going to run the Preakness, and we'll probably bet on it. But the buzz won't be there from those outside people without that Triple Crown on the line. The horse racing people, sure, we'll show up, we'll bet it, we'll have fun with it. But overall, it's not going to be that event that everybody kind of wants it to be. And then look, the Belmont Day itself has become such a big time thing without the Triple Crown on the line because they've made it like a Breeders' Cup like day with all the races. So while the Triple Crown on the line would intensify things, it's still a massive day, and so that motivation is just not there from Belmont. So I mean, there it is, and I hate this video, I really do, but you could kind of see it coming. We had kind of been hanging by a thread, so to speak. Yes, we got the Derby winner in the last couple of years, but just not a lot of other horses from the Kentucky Derby were showing up. We kind of got saved, the year Secret Oath ran in it. That kind of added intrigue to it. But overall, it just keeps kind of going downhill. And now, we've hit a point where, hey, I think if, journalism shows up or journalism and Sandman, show up, maybe it's going to be a good race and I'm going to be excited about it. But the mystique of the Triple Crown, if it didn't officially die with this news, it's pretty close. It's pretty close. So we'll see. We'll see if horse racing can work together to come up with some sort of solution to a problem that has reared its ugly head, probably worse than ever, right here in 2025. All right, guys. That'll do it for this video. Hit the like button if you like it. Hit subscribe. You really like it when I get alert anytime we do videos like this. And most importantly, stay tuned to the channel for more updates as we go towards the Preakness and the Belmont. I'm not going to call it a Triple Crown anymore. Just 2 big races on the racing calendar.